Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. This is the third time I'm recording this tonight because some audio issues, but hey, that's what happens when you get a new microphone, right? So the first time I posted this, I noticed that the audio did not sync up with the video properly, and it was really choppy and sounded like somebody with a bad cell phone connection. So hopefully this one comes out a little better. And of course, the second time I tried to record it, I forgot to turn the microphone on when I first started. So here we go again. First and foremost this week, though, I want to acknowledge the passing of Brian Christopher. Of course, last week when I recorded the show, he had not passed away yet. He was still on life support, but unfortunately, shortly after that, he did pass away, unfortunately. So condolences to the whole Lawler family, especially the King, Jerry Lawler. Just being a father myself, I can't even fathom what he must be going through, just mentally and emotionally. So definitely most heartfelt condolences to the King. Of course, I hope everybody's been enjoying the show so far. Hope you're checking it out on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, any place you find your podcasts. So, and I hope you're following on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. If you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. Feel free to leave me your questions, comments, anything you'd like me to talk about on the show, what you like, what you don't like. And, I'm open to it all, so feel free. I'm going to try to run through things pretty quick because, like I said, I am recording this now for the third time. Hopefully it's right. But, yeah, first of all, on Raw this week, we saw Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor yet again. I think I'm liking the storyline. I like that Balor is actually part of a significant storyline again. It's been a little while since he's really been involved in a significant storyline of his own. He's kind of just been inserted into other stuff going on. So I'm liking what they're doing with Corbin. Of course, Corbin, I think, is really coming into his own since being given the character that he has now, as far as the authority figure, kind of the voice of Stephanie McMahon, her representative on Raw, as the constable, so to speak. And I'm hoping they keep running with this because the matches are definitely great. I'm a big fan of both guys. I'm a huge fan of Finn Balor. I think he, really needs to be pushed into the title picture, but I'm hoping, that'll come. So I'm thinking they're probably working their way towards a SummerSlam match. Of course, SummerSlam is 2 weeks away. Wouldn't surprise me to see them put in a match with some kind of stipulation, like if Balor wins the match, he gets the position of authority on Raw for 30 days, 90 days, whatever. That's most likely, I think, where it's going. So I have to wait and see on that one. Then, of course, another storyline with some guys who we haven't seen pushed in quite a while is Titus Worldwide and the Authors of Pain. And I think this is more for the Authors of Pain to kind of, get them in the door, kind of their introduction as the big monster heels that are just going to kind of bulldoze through everybody. But it's also giving some good attention and good TV time for Titus Worldwide, especially Apollo Crews. Apollo is just an outstanding athlete. I don't think has really been utilized too much or gotten a whole lot of screen time since he's been on the main roster, which is kind of a shame because he is a spectacular athlete. So hopefully that leads to good things for him as well. I think it's definitely going to lead to good things for Authors of Pain. They're I'm sure going to be pushed into the tag team title picture sooner rather than later. Speaking of tag teams, of course, we had the Revival defeating the Deleters of Worlds, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt on Raw. Revival's another one I think that's starting to get a little bit of a push. I know they had some injury issues the last few months. They haven't had a whole lot of TV time because of that. Hopefully, all those are taken care of, and they looks like they're going to get pushed into the title picture too. Now, they have not announced a Raw tag team title match for SummerSlam yet. It would not surprise me to see a triple threat with the Revival, the Deleters of Worlds, and the B Team for the tag team title. And I would love to see the Revival come out with the belts. They've gotten some significant victories the last few weeks over Roman and Bobby Lashley, and now with Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. So I'd love to see the Revival get a run as tag team champions. Another tag team we've been seeing on Raw the last couple of weeks is Sasha Banks and Bayley. It looked for a while that they were going to pull the trigger on a feud between the two, but that looks like that's been kind of nixed again. So we're seeing them now working as a team, a pretty cohesive team. I mean, obviously they work very well together, whether it's as rivals or as teammates. They're two of the best women in WWE right now. So they're going to run with whatever storyline that they're given. They're going to do fantastic with it. I think a lot of people would love to see Bayley finally make that heel turn and see a rivalry with these two, but I think they're going to try to keep them together at least a little bit longer. I think they're going to start working their way towards this 4 horsewomen rivalry that people have been clamoring for about the last year or so. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see where this one's going to go. And of course, the big story coming out of Raw is Brock Lesnar. Looks like he is breaking away from Paul Heyman. Of course, Roman came out and called out Lesnar at the beginning of the show. Brock was content to sit in his locker room reading hunting magazines all night. Kurt Angle threatened to fire Paul Heyman if he didn't get Brock to the ring. Roman was escorted from the building by security in the middle of the night. And then by the end of the night, Kurt Angle and Corbin were in the ring, called out Lesnar. Heyman came out, Lesnar didn't. Angle was about to fire Heyman. Lesnar finally showed up and attacked Kurt Angle, F5'd him in the middle of the ring. Corbin took off running, and then Brock turned his attention to Paul Heyman, grabbed him, choked him out, took him down to the mat, getting in his face, and so it looks like Brock has broken away from Heyman, and I think this is a smart move on the part of WWE to just get some heat on Brock, because Paul Heyman is, whether the babyface heel doesn't matter, Paul Heyman is just beloved by WWE fans, by wrestling fans in general, for the most part, including myself. So I think taking Heyman away from Brock Lesnar is going to put a lot of heat on Brock, and hopefully throw some fan support towards Roman. You did hear some Roman chants coming from the crowd during that last segment on Raw. So another interesting note with Brock Lesnar, I was reading online earlier today, of course, it's just a rumor at this point, that he possibly might sign another contract extension with WWE. Supposedly the one he's on right now is just a 2-match extension, which was the Greatest Royal Rumble, and now the match at SummerSlam, and so that would be the end of that particular extension. Even if this is true, I don't expect to see Brock hold on to the Universal title past SummerSlam. I really don't. I just think the fans have gotten really tired of not seeing the championship at least at every pay-per-view, if not on Raw, every week. So whether it's Roman beating Brock or Braun Strowman cashing in the Money in the Bank at some point, if he's able to keep it after the match with Kevin Owens, I don't expect Brock to walk out with the Universal title. If he does, I think this is probably the last match we'll see with Roman Reigns. They need to find him a new opponent if he's going to hold on to that title. If that's the case, it could be Braun Strowman, could be Bobby Lashley. There's a lot of things that they could do, but if they try to continue the Brock and Roman storyline, it's just going to turn out bad. It's gonna, has not completely blown up in WWE's face yet, but I think it's going to if they try to push it past SummerSlam at all. So, my first thought, I don't think Brock's leaving SummerSlam with the title. That's my take on it. Moving on to SmackDown, of course, we saw some more banter back and forth between The Miz and Daniel Bryan. Definitely think they're building towards a match with these two at SummerSlam as well. That's one that could absolutely steal the show. And interestingly enough, according to whatever reports are out there, Daniel Bryan has still not signed a contract extension with WWE, so his contract would be up in September 1st, actually. So, they're kind of looking at this as like his farewell tour until he signs that extension. I think this is one match that everybody's wanted to see since he was able to come back and start wrestling again. And, that's, like I said, that's a match that could absolutely steal the show. I think the fans are going to go nuts for it because they're very hot for Miz and Daniel Bryan right now. Miz is like one of the top heels in the company. Bryan, one of the top baby faces in the company. They don't even need a title to be involved for this match to just draw huge attention. So I'm definitely expecting that one to get booked sooner rather than later. And then, of course, we did see Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton attack Jeff Hardy again. Now, Shinsuke and Jeff is already booked for SummerSlam. Again, it wouldn't be a huge surprise to see Orton added to that match to make it a triple threat, or at the very least to see Orton involved in the match one way or another, like costing Jeff Hardy the title. And then, of course, the two of them, I think, would continue their rivalry on to the next pay-per-view or two, and Shinsuke would probably end up with a new challenger for the U.S. title. Another note coming out of SmackDown, Charlotte defeated Carmella to have herself added to the SmackDown Women's Championship match, so that's now a triple threat with Becky Lynch, Carmella, and Charlotte Flair. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I was actually looking forward to the one-on-one match with Carmella and Becky Lynch, just because it was, a different challenger. It seemed like lately it was always either Asuka or Charlotte going for the title, and that's pretty much it. So I was looking forward to seeing Becky Lynch getting back into the title picture, which she still is, obviously, and it's obviously going to be a great match. Carmella, to me, has been improving by leaps and bounds in the ring, and she's pretty good on the mic as well. She's becoming a more complete performer. Charlotte, of course, is tops in the business right now, and Becky Lynch is right up there with her. So it's still I think going to be a great match with the three of them. I just personally was looking forward to just a one-on-one match, though. I'd love to see Becky come out with the championship again. And again, that's just my take on it. As far as the SmackDown Tag Team Championship tournament that's been going on, the Bar defeated the Usos, so they're going to move on to this coming Tuesday on SmackDown to go against the New Day for the #1 contendership to meet the Bludgeon Brothers at SummerSlam. I'm personally hoping that the Bar wins this one. I'd love to see the Bar versus the Bludgeon Brothers. I think it'd be a great matchup of styles, because you got the Bludgeon Brothers that are just the monster heels, the brawlers, just going in there and decimating everybody that they're in the ring with. And then on the other side, you got the Bar with Cesaro, who's just a consummate mat technician, one of the best pure technical wrestlers in the business right now, and Sheamus, who's kind of a cross between the two. He can do the brawling, but he's also a great wrestler as well. So I just think it'd be a phenomenal matchup with those four guys. So I'm really hoping to see that one. I mean, I love the New Day, but I really want to see the Bar back in that title picture. They've been off TV for a while, according to reports, just because creative didn't have anything for them right at the moment. So now they're right back in the mix, and I really want to see them and the Bludgeon Brothers just go at it. So yeah, the SummerSlam lineup is starting to take shape. Like I said, it's exactly 2 weeks away. Of course, you got Roman and Brock for the Universal title. Then for the WWE title, you got AJ and Samoa Joe. That in and of itself is worth the price of the pay-per-view. I've never seen these two have a bad match. And if it's anything even close to the matches that they had in TNA, it's going to be fantastic. Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title. Looking forward to this one, because Alexa is one of those who seems to manage to hold on to her title by hook or by crook every time. So interested to see how this one turns out. I think it's definitely going to be an entertaining match. Then, of course, you got Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman for the Money in the Bank briefcase. And if Strowman, the stipulation is if Strowman loses by any means, whether it be pin, submission, count out, DQ, he loses the briefcase to Kevin Owens. So definitely keep a close eye on that one. If Strowman comes out with the briefcase, look for him to insert himself into the main event between Brock and Roman, one way or another, whether it's at the end of the match or in the middle of the match, turning it into a triple threat. Either way, I fully expect that to happen. That's the main reason why I said I don't expect Brock to leave with the Universal title. For my money, I think if Braun Strowman retains the briefcase against Kevin Owens, I think he's leaving SummerSlam as Universal Champion. That's my take on it. Then, of course, you got Jeff and Shinsuke for the United States title, possibly with Randy Orton being thrown in there somewhere, or just interjecting himself into the match and costing Jeff the title just to further that storyline. Of course, I just talked about the SmackDown Women's title, Carmella, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. The Bar or the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers for the SmackDown Tag titles. You've got Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins, which I'm sure will be another phenomenal match for the Intercontinental Championship. Hopefully Daniel Bryan and The Miz. I'm sure that one will be announced in the next week or so. And Finn Balor and Baron Corbin is another one I think is probably going to be announced in the next week or so, probably with the added stipulation that if Balor wins, he gets the authority position on Raw. Some NXT news. Of course, Tommaso Ciampa is the new NXT champion. He defeated Aleister Black in a match that was broadcast just this past Wednesday on WWE Network. Yeah, there was supposed to be a rematch at NXT TakeOver, which was supposed to be a triple threat with Ciampa, Gargano, and Aleister Black. That looks like it may be in jeopardy at this point. Apparently, Aleister Black was injured at a live event this past week, suffered a torn groin, ouch, that required surgery. Apparently, this is, from what I've read, it's an injury that takes about 3+ weeks to recover from fully. So that would be cutting it very close. Like I said, the injury happened earlier this week, and SummerSlam right now is 2 weeks away. So I'm sure it's possible. I mean, Aleister Black, is a fantastic athlete. He's in phenomenal shape, and I'm sure he's capable of coming back. It's just a matter of how quickly and how well his body heals. So fingers crossed he'll be able to make it in under the wire and get cleared to go for TakeOver. But if he doesn't, I mean, you're left with a one-on-one match with Ciampa and Gargano for the NXT title. Now, these two guys have main evented the last 2 takeovers with no title involved and have torn the house down and stole the weekend, not just the show. So with the NXT title on the line this time, I look for more of the same if it's left with just these two. I mean, that main event is not in any danger if Aleister Black is not able to come back in time, and that just sets up, the next takeover for Black to get his rematch, or a couple weeks down the line on NXT TV, whatever the case may be. So I don't think anybody's going to be hurt by Aleister Black missing this main event. So if he's not able to come back, it's still going to be the match of the night or match of the weekend, most likely, with Gargano and Ciampa. And some more news about the Mae Young Classic. Some more names were announced this week. It's going to be a 32-woman tournament, so I'm sure it's going to be a good 5 to 6 nights of broadcasts on the network. Once they start putting it out there, I'm sure they'll put it out like one day every week leading up to the Evolution pay-per-view, where the finals are going to be at. Some of the names announced this week, of course, were Rachel Ellering, who was in the tournament last year and has made sporadic appearances on NXT. Of course, the daughter of Paul Ellering, former manager of the Authors of Pain and of Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. Another name announced was Sienna, former TNA Knockouts champion. So definitely a great in-ring performer. Looking forward to see what she's going to do in the tournament. And the one that kind of caught me by surprise was Madison Rayne. Of course, they announced her as Ashley Rayne, so that apparently is the name she'll be going by in WWE, at least for now. But again, another former Knockouts champion, wrestled in Ring of Honor. Her husband is Josh Matthews, the Impact Wrestling play-by-play announcer, former announcer for WWE. So it's shaping up to be a great tournament, and leading up to the Evolution pay-per-view, I mean, it's definitely something that's long overdue, putting the women in the spotlight. I mean, women's wrestling right now is hotter than it has ever been. It's the first time WWE is doing an all-women's pay-per-view, but it's not the first time ever. I mean, it's been done by TNA, obviously, with their one-night-only pay-per-views. And there, of course, are all-women independent promotions out there like Shine and Shimmer, and Ring of Honor has their women's championship now that they just recently introduced. So WWE really isn't one that kind of sets the curve, but they just kind of take it to another level. They kind of see what kind of response the indies get, and they say, okay, fans are liking this, so let's take it to the next level and put it on a worldwide stage. And that's exactly what they're doing with their women's division now. And like I said, it's definitely long overdue. They have some of the most talented female wrestlers in the world, and they're bringing in some of the best female independent wrestlers. And I'm really looking forward to this tournament and the pay-per-view. I think it's going to be just amazing, really exciting to watch, and definitely well-deserved and long overdue. So that's pretty much all that's been going on this week. The topic that I've got for this week's show is the NWO and kind of why it faded out as fast as it did. Now, granted, they were around for 3 years. It's not like they, faded out after a week and a half or something like that. But you look at a group like the Four Horsemen, whose, dominant days lasted for a good 8 to 10 years. But I think the secret behind that was the Horsemen had that core group. And of course, the core for the Horsemen was Ric Flair and Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard in their most dominant days. And then, of course, you had Ole Anderson was the original fourth Horseman. And then he was kicked out of the group. They brought in Lex Luger. He was kicked out. They brought in Barry Windham in what became probably the single best faction ever in the history of wrestling, when they dominated the entire championship scene in the NWA. But I think that was kind of the NWO's problem. They didn't keep that core group. They didn't keep control over the championship scene like that. I think they just their biggest problem was too many members, and I've heard this said by a number of people like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Eric Bischoff in in interviews. It seemed like every week everybody was in the NWO or wanted to be in the NWO, and it got way out of control. I mean, if you actually go back and count, the NWO had a total of 52 members. Now that's including any celebrities like Dennis Rodman, Kyle Petty, their NASCAR driver, and people like that. But 52 total members through 15 different incarnations. When I'm talking about incarnations, I'm talking about the original NWO. Then they split off and had the Wolfpack and the Black and White. Then there was the NWO Elite, NWO Japan, the WWE version of the NWO, and it was insane. It just got way too big, way out of control. And if you're going to have a group like that that's going to just run roughshod and try to take over, quote unquote, on take control of the company and of the business, you got to keep the numbers small. You got to keep it to the elite main event level guys, and you got to dominate all the titles like the Horsemen did. And for the NWO, now this is just my personal fantasy booking here. It should have been 6 members. And the reason I say 6 is because that's how many championship belts there were in WCW at the time. You had the world title, the US title, the television title, the cruiserweight title, and the tag team titles. 6 belts, 6 guys, that's it. You have just enough guys to control the championships. You control the championships, you control the company. Now, I would have left Eric Bischoff in there as an authority figure, the manager type guy, for them to, pull the strings behind the scenes, keep the titles around their waist, keep them in control of what's going on, for as long as possible, because that I think to me is what builds a great wrestling storyline. The heel gets over and gets over and gets over and gets over for so long that you just want to get sick, and then finally in the end the baby face comes out on top and puts the heel in their place and things like that. Now the 6 members that I think should have been the ones to start off the NWO should all have been WWE guys, so to speak, all guys that identified with the WWF, because that was the original premise when the NWO started. It's like, oh, these are all WWF guys, they're taking over. It's like a WWF invasion. Of course, they had to go on TV and say that none of these guys work for the WWF anymore, just for legal reasons. But that really kind of doesn't really matter. Yeah, okay, they don't work for WWF anymore, and just kind of throw that to the side, because I don't even think people paid that much attention to that. It didn't do anything to damage the storyline when they had to make that announcement, especially the way they did it, just talking, doing the interview in character with Hall and Nash saying, do you work for the WWF? No, we don't. Okay, done and done. But yeah, the guys that I think should have started it off should have still been Hogan, Hall, and Nash, your first 3. Of course, Hogan World Champion, Hall and Nash Tag Champs, exactly like they were. 6, X-Pac, 1, 2, 3 Kid, whatever you want to call him, in the cruiserweight title spot. For the TV title spot, and some of you guys are going to roll your eyes at this, but stick with me here, Brutus Beefcake, or Brother Brudai, or the Butcher, or the Booty Man, or the Zodiac, or the Disciple, or whatever name he wanted to go by at the time. You put him in that TV title spot again. He's a WWF guy. That's where he made his name. That's what he's famous for. So, put him in that spot. Of course, everybody knows he's Hulk Hogan's best friend, or at least was at that time. So there's your TV champion. And for your US title spot, Randy Savage, again, top tier WWF guy. And that leaves you room to switch guys out here and there, just like the Horsemen did. You know, maybe Brutus drops the TV title. They say he dropped the ball. They beat him down, kick him out. Oh, here comes Jeff Jarrett, who made his name in WWF. Or here comes Curt Hennig, made his name in WWF. You know, put them in that TV title spot, because that's a step up. It shows them, you know, increasing in strength, not necessarily in numbers, because you're just swapping a guy out and you're keeping just that core 6 guys and keeping a stranglehold on all the championships. And maybe, you know, at some point Savage and Hogan start butting heads, which always happened with those two. Savage thinks he should be in that world championship spot. Savage gets booted out of the group. Well, here comes Lex Luger. He had a run in WWF. He was the first big defection from WWF on the very first episode of Nitro. You play off of that. It's like, oh my God, how long has this NWO invasion really been going on? Or, you know, at some point, you know, Bret Hart came to WCW. He, you know, after Hogan left WWF, Bret Hart became Mr. WWF. He was the face of the company after Hogan left. Well, now here he is, you know, following Hogan to WCW and taking up right there with him and the other WWF guys. And, you know, so that's how I would have done it. And again, it's, you know, hindsight's 2020. It just got way too big for you know, to continue, and which I really think is kind of sad, because had they kept the numbers smaller and you know, gone about it the route that I was just talking about, I think it could have lasted a whole lot longer. And who knows, WCW might still be around if that was the case. You never know. But again, it is what it is. It's just it's fun to look back and think about, you know, how would I have done it, or how would things have been different if it was done this way, or things like that. But, you know, I'm not the booker. I'm just a fan. So, and this is you know, just my opinions here. So that's pretty much all I got for this week. Hopefully this recording comes out better than the first 2, and I don't have to do this again, because it's getting a little bit late. But anyway, again, I hope everybody's liking the podcast. Hope you're checking it out on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you find your podcasts. And yeah, make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Just search Catch Hook Shoot. And if you ever want to drop me an email, questions, comments, something you'd like to see on the show, what you like, what you don't like, anything you'd like to say, I'm happy to hear it. catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So yeah, hopefully posting this episode works this time. Hope everybody has a good week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.